Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great week. Welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, welcome. My name is Elisa Amari and I am the owner of Elisa Amari Art. And right now in today's video, I am going to create an intuitive abstract floral. So a lot of times I don't know exactly what I want to do when I start a painting. This is why I start with pretty much a blank page. In this case, I had put some texture on the page using some texture medium, and I scratched into it and let it dry. And then I came in with acrylic inks. Now I'm really liking using the acrylic inks right now. It's like a newfound love. I had them, but I didn't really use them very often, and now I've been using them a lot. And even in my journaling, what I've been doing is using them almost entirely just using acrylic inks. So now after I put a layer of the inks, then I started to do a little scratching. Paper's a little bit wet still, so I'm still dropping some ink in there, letting it do its thing. So a fun thing to do with the acrylic inks is to just use the back of your paintbrush and just kind of scratch into it, pulling the paint in different directions, making a flower, or you can make anything you want. It's a little bit of gold acrylic ink, and most of the acrylic inks I use are Taylor and Rowley, I think, or Rowley. I'm gonna put links in the description box, and I will pull one out just to look at it. Rowney, Taylor and Rowney. They're wonderful. I do use the Amsterdam inks as well. Some of the colors are just a little bit more different than the Taylor and Rowney. Depending on what I want to do or how I'm feeling, I might want to use a brighter color or a darker hue. Actually, I dropped some of that acrylic ink. Let me go back a little bit. I made this video quite a while ago, actually back in May, and I never got around to. I edited it, but I never really got around to doing the voiceover for it. So what I had done was I dropped some alcohol in there, and apparently I didn't like that. So what I did was started pulling more acrylic ink over, and I believe I dropped in some black there and started smearing that in and blending that in, and now it looks like I have some maybe brown or orange actually. Now I went in with some regular acrylic heavy body paint. I'm using Watercolor here, and that is a phthalo turquoise. And I'm also mixing a bit of white in there to make the color a little lighter and get a little bit more variation without actually having to dip my brush into a different color. So I'm getting different color variations by just adding white. I'm going in with some, I believe is black and white paint, just making shapes, doing marks, not really actually thinking of anything at the moment. I'm just total playtime, and it's just mark making right now. Now I'm using a Nova Color paint. I believe that is light green. Yes, light green. Actually, it might be light green yellow. I'll check that. What is it? Oh, yeah, yellow green actually. No light in that at all. It's yellow green. I'm just kind of, now I'm using, I do use different brushes to create more texture as well. So you'll see me kind of switch back and forth from a small brush, a big brush. This is just a regular flathead brush. The other one was a script brush. It was long and skinny and it's very flexible, and you have very little control over the marks using that kind of a brush, which is what I like. Now I'm dipping into an Indithone blue with a little bit of white, and I'm just going to continue to make the marks. And then once I have all the marks on there that I want, I'll start to edit some of it out. Keep the parts that I want to keep, the parts that are interesting to me, the parts that look pretty to me. Okay, now I'm coming in with, I believe this is a Holbein, no, I know this is a Holbein Marigold. I love that color, and this color mixes well with a lot of other colors as well. I like to mix it with, I'm not doing it here, but I love to mix it with a pink. Just gives it just becomes like a beautiful, almost orangey pink hue with it. It's beautiful. Well, I'm just going to take a moment to apologize that I haven't put out a video in a long time. I've been, caught up with some other things going on, and I haven't been able to devote as much time to my channel as I would like. And I do apologize. I think the last video I put out was in May, and it's now July. So I do want to apologize for that. Sometimes life happens and there's nothing we can do about it. So now here you can see that I'm starting to edit out some areas. I'm starting to quiet certain areas. Now I'm thinking about composition, variation. I'm looking at this now, those almost look like sunflowers in the background. Now sometimes I look at them and I say, I wish I had kept that. I don't know if that I kept that in there. We'll see as we go. Because I filmed it months ago, I don't really remember what I did. But it was ready to go, and I didn't want to keep it and not post the video since I had created it. So I decided to just come on, sit down, do the voiceover, watch the video, and go with the flow. I decided I didn't like that, so I was painting it. Make decisions on the fly. You do something you don't like, you start to cover it up. But the wonderful thing about it is that when you start layering, adding, taking away, editing out, you're creating this beautiful underpainting as you go, and the final result wouldn't look like what it looks like if you didn't do that to begin with. It's like you can't get to one place without going through another. It's not the destination, it's the journey, kind of thing. Seems like I was really loving that green. So, all right, now I'm coming in with some Pyrrole Red. I don't really mix the Pyrrole Red with anything. I'll go straight in right from the jar with that. So it's not standard for me to mix any other colors with red. Even white to make a pink. I do it sometimes, but not very often. Red is just one of those colors that kind of has to stand on its own, at least in my paintings. Now I'm coming in with some black paint, just making some marks. Sometimes when I'm at a kind of standstill or a crossroads with a piece, and this is a journal piece actually, so this isn't a big canvas or anything. This is just a journal that I was working on. It probably took me about, without not including drying time, probably about an hour or so. So I did it over the course of probably a day or two. Maybe I did it in one sitting. I actually don't remember. But I might have been coming back and forth. And so when I get to a point where I feel like I'm not sure what I want to do, I'll start, making marks this way. So I'm doing something a little bit more where you can kind of tell what it is. So I'm putting leaves in with the dark paint, with the black paint. And then I guess I decided I was going to do a flower. Although I really do like those yellow circles in the back. I really wish I hadn't covered over them. That's sometimes what I do a lot, is I'll just put symbols or lines on my pieces. I know that a lot of it isn't gonna remain in the final, and it gets covered up, but I like to add them because it adds more of a dimension to the piece. You can kind of see some of it underneath after I've covered it up. Some of it you can, some of it you can't, but it still just adds that extra layer of texture and just something to the abstract piece. Yeah, I told you it wasn't going to last for long. All right, here I am. I must have let it dry. I got way too wet. So I let it dry, walked away, and came back and got my flat brush and said, okay, let me start adding some marks. artists have a vision when they sit down to paint something, and sometimes I do that, but it's rare that I kind of know what I want to do. I usually just start off with that blank canvas and start making marks, because sometimes I just have that urge to sit down and create, and I don't necessarily know what I want to create. Those usually turn out to be my best pieces. Alright, I'm coming in with some, I let it dry, I think, pretty much, yeah. Coming in with the marigold. And I'm coming in with, that is a fluorescent red from Holbein. I have the fluorescent line from them. I love it. I don't use it a lot, but I use it I don't use a lot of it while I'm painting. I use a lot of it all the time. I don't want to say this. It always ends up in my artwork, but I don't use a lot of it. I use a little bit. Therefore, I use it a lot. If that makes sense. Alright, I'll let it dry, and now I've decided, okay, really I'm going to go in for that flower. So we start lightening up petals here and bringing yellow paint over some of the spots in the petals. Because I want to define that a little bit more. I want you to see the flower. I want you to know that it's a flower. Now I'm coming in with a water-soluble black crayon. I use watercolor crayon a lot in my artwork. I tend to use it for outlining, and then I will define what I'm trying to express with that crayon, and then I will sometimes I'll spray it and wet it and it bleeds, and then I can come in later with paint. But I like the crayon because if I do feel like I make a mistake, I can kind of take it off because it's water soluble. It doesn't ever come off completely, but it's just part of the way I work. I like to be able to remove things if I can. So now I decided I wanted to brighten up the background even more, so I'm coming in with a very choppy white color. And I'm putting it in so it's not taking away all the color, because I'm just kind of dipping it into the white paint and kind of slapping it on there so that it looks choppy. Now I'm coming in with the blue over the white. When I paint like this, hours go by. It's just and I think I've said this in quite a few of my videos, this is like a meditation for me. I'm not thinking about anything else. other than what I'm doing. Working like this, I try to let my hand, it's almost like I'm letting my hand make the decision of what I'm going to do. I'm not using my mind. There are times where I have to kind of step back and look at it and say, okay, does this make sense, or do I need to do something else? But for the most part, I'm letting my hand guide me. And when I am painting and I make a mark, sometimes that allows me to, gives me another idea. I'm like, oh, I just did that. Let me do this. And working in a journal like this is such a great way to get your art, just your intuitive art down on paper. It gives you ideas. You can go back and look at them, and it can help you create even better art. I mean, we're all human, right? I forget all the time. What did I do? Sometimes I look at something and go, what did I do? I don't remember. And I'll go back and I'll look and I'll say, oh, I must have did this. I'm going to try to recreate that. That's why I like to look at my work from years ago and see what was I doing differently that I'm not doing now, or what am I doing now that I wasn't doing then. I might have dropped some of those things that I was doing then, and I might want to incorporate them back into my artwork I'm doing now. Well, I think what I'll do now is remain silent for the rest of the video. I'll let you enjoy watching the rest of the process instead of me babbling on incoherently. Enjoy. just these few final touches, my final mark making, just before I finish the piece. It's those little details that add that extra something special. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment or email me directly. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Make sure if you liked this video that you comment, like, subscribe, share. It lets YouTube know that you liked it, and it will show it to other people that may enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Take care.